for listening to Fem Talk 89 FM. We are on air in Labasa, and it's time for another episode of this season of Radio with Pictures on My TV. Thanks to the support of UNDP's CAFE program, supported by the European Union, DFEDS, and the International Women's Development Agency, as well as Oxfam.
Thanks, Kini. In episode 1 to 6 of this new season of Radio with Pictures, which were filmed following our Western Division consultation, we heard from representatives of 50 women leaders from Ra to Nanranga, representing more than 3,000 women of all diversities, including young women, the LGBTIQ and disability rights group. We're here at the FemLink Pacific Community Media Center in Labasa, where 50 women leaders from Rambi to Savu-Savu to Mbua and communities of the Motherwata province, including Kia and Mali Islands, have come together to discuss their clubs, their groups' development priorities, and of course these priorities reflect the needs of their communities. We did a quick survey of 40 of the 50 women at our consultation and found out that half of the women interviewed make less than $50 a week. 6 earn between $50 and $100 a week. 3 make more than $100 a week. 15 of the 40 women interviewed would like to make at least $100 a week, or at least around $200 to be able to make ends meet. 23 of the women interviewed said they have access to land. Priorities that have been raised in our quick survey with our consultation participants have highlighted issues to do with health services. Not just the quality of health services or the availability of health services where they live, such as the issue of dispensaries, but also transportation to access health, particularly the maternal health services. This then brings to the discussion the qualities of roads, or the poor qualities of roads in the communities, the lack of electricity, water, and the quality or availability of transport. Women from coastal communities are concerned about rising sea levels. Others have also raised issues to do with education and improvements or development to their community infrastructure, including drainage problems. Employment issues are connected to food security as well as access to land. Very similar issues being raised in the Western Division and now also in the Northern Division. To discuss this and more, we have Julie Andivuvutaki, who is the president of the Vuniduidui Multiracial Women's Forum. We have Luisa Yalombula, the secretary of the Tosavata Women's Club based in Bulileka. Shail Shwanjana is joining us from the AOG Women's Group in Savu-Savu. We have Andisavu Daungunu, who is the secretary of the Tawake Women's Group. Merilisita Tikoe Namena from Nangai Village, and Kinisi Dilenga of the Vitandra Women's Club in Bulileka. Julie, if I could start with you. You've been leading the Vuniduidui Multiracial Women's Forum, something that you helped start many years ago, almost 10 years ago now. And one of the key issues that has been raised through the forum was rural electrification, particularly in the Nasoni settlement where you've set up the cooperative. It took a very long time for electricity to come to this community, even though there's an advisory council, even though there was a very active women's group. So when it comes to leadership, at the community level, Julie, why aren't women being listened to?
Thank you, Sharon. What we want about leadership is we want someone who is faithful. The second one come down to grassroots level, to be transparency to everyone and to be equally. Be natural in decision making. All these are the quality of good leadership. This leadership we need to link, to develop all those quality to leadership. Thank you, Sharon.
Okay, Julie. So you're really talking about the fact that you have community leaders, but sometimes they're not coming and talking to the women.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, Sharon.
But what about women in decision making? Do you have enough women in the advisory council, in the Tekina council, participating in the Boseva Koro?
Thank you, Sharon. Like us in Vundidui, we stay in the settlement. We talk to our advisory counselor. But sometimes we go to our advisory and they say, no, we are not registered. To me as a leader, it's very hard for me to take our issue to another place because in our community is lack of like who is the leader there? Like our advisory counselor is not registered. That's why.
What do they mean by you're not registered? Surely every citizen has a right to raise their issue to their advisory counsellor.
Because some of the thing we need an advisory counselor, so
Yes.
like our paperwork and what we need in our community. Like we are doing one workshop about our shop, and we really need an advisory counselor. And because of the government is changed, there is no advisory counselor in our community in Vunifufu.
Okay, so one is just having representation, and within that, hopefully, some women advisory counsellors.
We go for that. We one of our like our members in Vunididui, she applied for the advisory counselor, but we're still waiting for her.
Okay, thanks, Julie. Luisa, you're the secretary of the Tosavata Women's Club. You live in Bulileka village. You have direct access to the Turangani Koro. But what I'd like to ask you, Luisa, is in terms of organizing as women, do you have the support at the village level to organize, to be heard?
Thank you, Sharon, for the nice question. It's really hard. As you can understand, living in a community like Mbuleka village, the Berede is a culture. Like women, we cannot speak out, especially during the Mboseva Koro. We have the Turangani Vanua. So we can't speak out our issues. We can't voice out our issues there during the Mboseva Koro. And what really edged inside me, I really want some women to be in this community level, to be at least one of the advisory committee, so that our men understand that we have the capability in us women, that we can stand out and fight for some rights, just like Julie said from Vunzuzui. The councillor there, they are not registered. Within the group, in the community, in the village, we have to be registered in the Ministry of Women here in Labasa office here. Then from there, they can provide services. They can provide development in a community once we are through that registration. And within every month at the end of every month, we have to submit all our agenda minute. So it's really hard now, Julie, to come up with this, because living in a community like Mbuleka village, different people, different view, different level of education rather to there. So for me, as a Randini Turangani Koro, it's really hard. So it's coming up to decision making is very important there, and time management is very important.
So in order to organize, you're the Randini Turangani Koro, what kind of support do you get? You've registered with the Department of Women, but what kind of support is there in order to ensure that women, that you can file your reports? Do they come and provide training?
Thank you, Julie. First of all, I need support from my husband in the family. Secondly, right now, I'm very fortunate that we have about 13 women in the Tosavata group. We already have some workshop, some awareness, some consultation as such, which really helpful to us, which really support us, that we can raise out our issues.
Okay, thank you so much. Shail, you're a young woman, you're part of the AOG women's group in Savu Savu. How are women organizing in your group? Do you only get together for prayer meetings, or are you also looking at some of the other community issues as well?
Thank you, Sherin. In our community, in AG group, we are meeting for the prayer shell group, and we just organize our community, work together. In every Mondays, every Tuesdays, and every Fridays we meet, and Sunday for the prayer. And in the community everything is good, but some people, they don't come to attend the church on Sundays, and when they heard it, they just say we are busy. And some people come for the prayer group when they are really sick, then that's the time they come and have the prayer meeting, and before they don't come. And now we just going to the every community to speak about the culture, that the Christian is not the religion, it's just a belief that we should believe in our Jesus and everything will be okay. So we're going to here and there in each and every community to share about our belief, so that they can understand and come every day in Sunday church.
Okay, so part of your work is not just to wait for the women to come, but you're also going out and doing outreach as a way to see what's going on in the communities. Thank you, Shail. Andisavu, you're the secretary of the Tawake Women's Group. It's not close to Labasa town. How easy is it for you to organize? How easy has it been to raise the issues such as your concerns about sea level rising into the Bosevakoro meetings, to address some of the problems regarding access to health, education? How easy is it?
Thank you, Sharon, for those questions. As our secretary, it's not so easy for me for handling for this matter, because right in the village we have the different views and the level of education and the source of income too. So when we call the meeting Ask for Women, they don't really understand, or they don't really take it seriously, especially maybe our fathers, our husbands, or the men in the village. So they just do, and they just watch all of the problems we are facing. They don't take it seriously as a woman in the village. So just the women too, because maybe they are not going anywhere for doing the consultation like that to know what is a really thing we are happening in our village.
So do you mean that people aren't taking an interest to participate in the discussions? Why do you think that is? Is it because they feel, well, nobody's going to listen to me, so it doesn't matter, why should I speak? Or this problem has been here for so long, no one's fixed it? Why do you think is that?
I think because the problem is for so long, they don't have, nobody responds for all we are taking up. They are so relaxing that we are just taking it easily, so that's why they don't take it up. Maybe it's like that.
Okay, thank you so much. Andisafu, coming to you, Mary Lasita, you live in Nangai village.
Yes, sure.
We've heard in an earlier episode of Radio with Pictures, you all belong to a village settlement from across Vanua level. Yes. Almost, and you have a landowner who makes a lot of the decisions.
Yes.
How do you find participating in decision making? Are you being heard by the leaders? What are you facing?
Thank you, Sharon, for that question. Decision making for the women living in the Nangaivi settlement, that is one of the big problems. Since the landowners, what they said, that should be done. And most of the time, some of the voices that are being raised from the Kavungale Women's Club, some are being heard, some are not. But from our president, what she encourages us to do is that no matter what happens, we should be there. We keep on taking up the issue that we want them to listen to and sharing it to them. That will be their own decision making. What we should do, we just keep on taking up those issues that we want it to be heard concerning our club, our family,
and the community
So
itself.
keep raising
Yeah.
it, don't give up.
Yes.
Which is very, interesting hearing Andisabu before that sometimes it's the same issue, but
Yeah.
you've got to keep talking about
Yes.
it, yeah?
Uh-uh.
So coming to you, Kinisimere, listening to everyone and their experiences, what would be some of these issues? I mean, you're also from Bulileka village. So what would be some of the issues that you have felt that you also need to keep raising so that you can see some of those changes?
Thank you, Sharon. To me, listen to other women here sharing their views, their issues. As I'm living in Bulileka, as I'm residing in Bulileka, one of the main issues in Bulileka is, a barrier in Bulileka right now is we have 8 different kind of denomination in the village. There's only 2 denomination joining the women's group. And I can say here that religion is one of our barrier in Bulileka as a community.
Okay. So maybe rather than bringing people together, it's keeping us
Yes.
in factions. But so we do need to work to be able to
Yes.
overcome some of those community barriers. Okay, let's talk about development. It's National Development Planning time, and in our earlier episodes, we've heard about the need for healthcare to reach communities. Of particular concern is the availability of maternal health care. We heard, as in the case of Mali Island, that women have to first find transport to get to where the boat is, then catch the boat to then come to the maternity unit. We keep hearing about the needs for infrastructure improvements, whether it's roads or drainage, electricity, access to water, access to shipping services and transport. I know at the Wake village that's a major concern for you up in the northern part of Vanuatu, but also in terms of access to markets, whether you're making handicrafts or whether you're farming or whether you're involved in fisheries. How do you sell? How do you earn a good living? A number of the women we've talked to in our quick survey not earning $50 a week, let alone $100 a week. And then there's also been the suggestion that we need to be part of where these decisions are made. If you're working in the market, how are the decisions made in terms of the market regulations and bylaws, or local government in general? We don't have district advisory councillors in some areas. We don't have women in local government, or we haven't had elections for a while. And then there's the issue of vocational training. School dropouts, particularly young women, to be able to have access to education, or how do we keep young people in school? How do we make sure that they've got jobs in the future? So for you, as you think about the next 5 years of the National Development Planning process, Julie, what are the issues you would like to see addressed in the National Development Plan?
Thank you, Sharon. Like us in Vunividui, about our water and electricity, and in one group too is Rarani Meke. They talk about their water. It's 50 years now, they're still drinking from the river. No, we need government to look in that about Rarani Meke. As in Vunividui, we've been crying for how many years for our electricity. But 2 years now, we got our electricity. We thank Femlik for taking up our issues all the time. We come for the consultation. That's our issue from Vunividui. Our water.
But I think the women have also been very persistent in making that change, not just Femlink.
But our consultation, we always bring it up. Oh, how many years now? I think 10 years I've been in coming for the consultation for the family. And Vunividui, we lift the family because family takes our voice up. This where we got the electricity and water. Before we always let kerosene light for our children to do their homework. It's very hard, but now we are happy. We got our electricity. We got our dairy shop, like a small business dairy shop, and we got our water. Thank you.
But as we're hearing, if we could move on to Luisa, there are still communities without good water supply, that women are still relying on the rivers to access water. And with the dry spell being a lot longer, we could call it a drought, but sometimes we're told it's not really a drought. So let's talk about the impact of El Nino. What are the development priorities for you in terms of the village community?
Yes, Sharon. For me, I really want to see development happen so that all these remote areas, they access to water. Like what Julie already mentioned in Raranimeke. They've been crying this for 50 years. About 50 households there in Raranimeke, Ngalawa village. They've been crying for water government supplies for 50 years now. So we really want to see, in 5 years' time, we really want to see this development happen so that these people from Raranimeke, they access to water. Not only in Raranimeke, likewise the Kia Island. They run out of water most of the time. They depend on rainy water. Likewise in Yandua Island, they are the one who are facing the same problem. They are going without water for most of the time. So what we want now, Julie, water is the main issue because everybody need water, especially women. We really need water. Cooking, everyday living. So what is very important? So we want to see this development happen, not only water. Some places, remote areas, they're not access to road. Like people from Tawake, it's been after 40 years now. They've been crying for this same problem, this road problem. For example, when somebody gets sick in Tawake village, they have to hire that fiber engine motor from Tawake to Wainganru village. From there, they need a transport from Wainganru either to Savu or Labasa Divisional Hospital. It's very difficult. So we really need this development happen in 5 years' time.
Thank you. Some very basic development issues there. Access to transport, whether it's motorized transport, good boat facilities, improvements to the road, water supply to everyone. Shail, you talked about going out with your church group to visit communities in Savu. What are you seeing the development needs in these communities? What are people talking about?
In our community in Savu, most of the people talking about when women became pregnant, there is no scan machine. So they have to worry that when they're pregnant, they have to go to Labasa hospital, and there's no X-ray machine, so they have to go there, and they worry about how to go, the transport, the food, and how they manage there, because some people coming for first time. When they're pregnant, they come first time, and some know, and some don't know about it. They have to come, worry, go here, they are searching for it, and that's the same time they are pregnant. And that's the main worry to the husband, where they look after the wife, or they have to look after the transport or everything.
So there's no maternity unit in Savu?
Yes. And the second problem is sometimes there is the people renting, and the cost of the rent is too high. And also in top of that, they have to buy the groceries, and sometimes there's job but not a good pay. So they have to worry about the rent and electricity bill, everything.
How much are people earning right now when you're talking to them? I was sharing a little earlier that quite a few people are still earning as low as $50 to $100 a week. You can't do a lot with that, right?
Because in some people, they are not well educated. That's the main problem. If they educated, they can do better work. And some people not well educated, that the people, they're really facing the problem while they're renting. And
so one of the previous discussions on Radio with Pictures, Anshu, from the president of the Association of Anglican Women here in Labasa, talked about the need for vocational training for those who, as you said, are maybe not as educated, so that they can go back. If you want like a community college type approach where you can go back and get additional training. Should that be a focus for your community?
Yes, that's also be the focus, because before there are lot of drops out, and now we just want lot of people to well educated so they can better and the standards should be good and they can enjoy their life.
Okay. Coming across to you, Andisavu, in terms of the development priorities for Tawake, we've heard about the remoteness of the village, the fact that, you are very far away. Luisa has raised a number of the issues. In 5 years, what is the change you want to see?
The main issue for me is about our after raising up of sea level. So I was mentioned last time that I'm taking right up. So the answer from Dambose near Sana that the government can do that. They don't help for the seawall. So as a mother, as a woman in a village, I can't ignore that to stop it from there. So that's why the community, they are ignored maybe because that was the only answer for our issue. They don't help because the government can help for those, the seawall. So as a woman, as a mother, I care for that. I have to take it up. So I want, I'll ask for the more awareness of campaign to come around so that to tell the community that very important for that to be prepared for any time for bad weather. What will be, they will be suffer. So they will know what they can do, or maybe we can take it to maybe NGOs, they can help. So I have a say because I don't blame the women because they don't have any consultation when I have having.
So you're talking about making sure that responses to the climate change issue that you're facing, whether it's the sea level rising or the problems caused by the storms, the hurricane, the cyclones, when the water's being washed onto land, as you've experienced in a number of the recent cyclones, that you need to come up with some solutions. And you have those solutions? One is seawall. What else?
One is the seawall, so that we secure the living, and as our road be connected to our village, because very high transportation we are facing right now.
And as part of this, I'm going to come very quickly to Mary Lisita and Kinisi Mere. We've got all of these issues. How can women be supported to be part of national planning? Mary Lisita, how can you be assisted to make sure that these issues that are being raised by women are heard in all the decision-making processes?
Thank you. Decision-making for women, as my fellow friends have said, I know that these issues can be heard only if we keep raising up our voice concerning those development priorities. As that matter, it doesn't happen only to one community. Most of us, even it's the country that's the same that is being going on. Road development, raising sea level, electricity, water supply. And I believe that if only we women or mothers can stand up and keep raising our issue concerning those, because the heart from a mother's love concerning the children and the family is always there. The family is the number one priority.
Thank you, Mary Lisita. Kinisi Mere, how can women be supported to work better together? You've raised the issue of sometimes we're not working together. How would you like to be supported so that as women you're working better together?
If we women cooperate in terms of education, how we educate our children, access to education, as in our community, as I've already shared, Sarah.
So how can you support those groups? How can we support you as women? You're not all working together, but as Mary Lisita was saying, we need to keep raising our issue. We need to be supported. Julie's talked about women having access to consultation. So has Andisavu, having access to information. But how can we support women who don't want to come? What's that
impact
message?
Awareness into our community.
So we need to keep talking to them
and keep
as
talking to
women,
them.
and saying, look,
and let them know what's the important of coming together and work together as a woman in our community and raise up issues that will help and be helpful to other women who are not coming into our groups.
So we've got to keep this work going.
Yes.
Then. It is not just going to happen with one meeting. Thank you so much, Kinisi Mary Lecita, Andy Savu, to Shail, Louisa, and Julie. It's back to you, Kini.
Thank you, Sharon. And we'll be back the same time next week for another new episode of Radio with Pictures. And don't forget to tune in to Fem Talk 89 FM Suva if you're living in the Nabuan Nausori corridor, or Fem Talk 89 FM Labasa on air from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. weekdays in Labasa town.